My name is Idaho. I'm the chairman of the White Panther Party. Kick it over to my man real quick.
I am Bunchy Carter. I am the Minister of Defense of the Black Panther Party. Sometimes.
I could be with the Great Panther.
So,
he said, I'm walking right in the middle, man.
most of the members that you see around the table are members of our Central Committee for the WPP.
WPP was that?
The White Panther Party.
Oh, okay.
So, I guess just a little bit about us up front, just because when you say Black Panther Party, people know what you're talking about. When you say White Panther Party, people got a couple questions.
No, it's not aligned with the KKK.
No.
And that was the first question.
If so, I took the wrong ride today.
Joke's on you.
You know what? I just realized I think I heard my mom call. All the way in North Carolina.
Yeah, those are the boys in the hood.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, like, what's, who is?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm Lewis.
Lewis. And your name is what again?
Al.
Al?
Fiddler Big Al. Big Radio.
All right. Big Al.
Big Al.
And Lewis. All right. So, where you from, Lewis?
Oh, right here.
I'm so sorry.
Why you gotta be like that?
This ain't about it.
It's all good.
We ain't about that at all. So, I mean, I guess my bigger question for both of y'all would be, what brought you out today?
Well, I grew up around Washington, D.C. and went away to college in Chicago. And I was in the Chicago area when all kinds of stuff went down. Assassination of the Black Panther Party members and the like. So,
I love it. How about you, Lewis?
Well, I've got some issues, I guess, with how things are now. I don't like. I'm pretty far left, I guess, of what would be considered the Overton window.
Okay.
And Jasper told me what was going on, or told me that you'd be here, and I thought I'd come by and see what was up.
That's dope. Okay.
I'm trying to set anything.
That is excellent, actually. Not being satisfied with what you see going on around
you
you.
could actually shut that door.
Perfect motivation for being a part of this. You want to give them like history and so forth like that? Do you think?
So, like I said, a lot of people don't know what the WPP is. For the WPP, in the late 60s, Huey P. Newton did an interview, and he was asked, what can the white community do to help the Black Panther Party? And he said, if you're serious, make your own party. If you guys really want to help, if you want to affect change, go make your own party, because I think we're going to need it. John and Lenny Sinclair, over in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Detroit at the time, moved over to Ann Arbor, heard that, and did it. With a man named Pun Plamondon, and I always try to make sure that I don't butcher his last name. They rolled for a couple years. There were little hiccups here and there. But when Huey went to prison, all of a sudden, what's going on? Bobby Seale kept them at kind of a distance. So, John went to prison for having 2 joints on him. And they had a festival called the Free John Festival shortly after that. And a bunch of big names showed up. But the one that most found most effective was Bobby Seale. Because over the months and years leading up to John being arrested after creating the party, they showed that, hey, we can be effective and we are here for it. So Bobby was sold. He was like, yo, get that dude out of jail. And it worked. So about 2 weeks later, he was released from prison. But Pun had just been picked up. And I'm kind of using a Spark Note version because I know that we have a lot to talk about. But while Pun was sitting in prison, his lawyer was going through the case. And really all they had on Pun was a tap on his phone. And he's going through and he's hearing all this information. He's like, well, some of this is really circumstantial. And where's the warrant for the wiretap? We didn't have one.
Got him.
So his lawyer said, there's something wrong there. And he pushed it all the way up to the Supreme Court. And that was the first time the United States Supreme Court ever heard a case on unwarranted wiretaps. And that's when they deemed it illegal. And his case was thrown out and Pun was released from prison. Now, to answer the question that everybody asks, this is not a white supremacy group. This was a support group of the Black Panther Party. But that's not as easy to get around in the 60s as it is today.
Very true.
So eventually they ended up changing their name to the Rainbow People's Party to negate any question that there might be. So the White Panther Party did continue to thrive in the UK for a time, but in the US it was deemed better to move to a different type. But the fight was never done. With the history of the Black Panther Party, it's never been over. So we felt that it was time to revitalize. We spoke to a few different party members. One in particular, I won't drop any names, gave their blessing and said, yo, do it. So we've been operating as, from what I know, just to be clear, the only legitimate White Panther Party chapter in the country. And we've been operating with the Black Panther Party of Washington since May.
Yeah, man. Since May.
Well, it's better not to let those other bad people take up all the white space.
Exactly.
But this is true. Yeah, this is true. Pretty sure y'all already know. I usually take for granted or either, assume that people know who the Black Panther Party is already. But that's because I'm an idiot sometimes. And I don't realize that everybody didn't have the same access to that particular information that I had growing up. My father was a Black Panther, so I kind of got the cheat code when it comes to it. But even outside of what he taught me, just my own digging and finding, there's some things I found out that I've said to him, and he's like, "What? How you know that?" Because I'm kind of nosy when it comes to the Black Panther Party, but it's cool. So, just to give you a quick overview, and it's hard to give a quick overview, but I'll try. 1966, October 15, 1966 was the birth of the Black Panther Party in Oakland, California. It was started by Huey P. Newton and Bobby G. Seale. The very first member to join the Black Panther Party was Bobby Hutton. He was 16 years old. He was not only the first member, he was also their treasurer. Which is crazy because he's 16, but whatever. During that time, the Panther Party was primarily focused on self-defense. Police brutality was out of control, and people weren't doing anything to stand up for themselves. So the very first actions that the Panthers took were patrolling the police, following police cars around. And it seems odd to think that, man, this group is like actually literally following the police. Like, yeah, we're following them. And if they roll up on somebody, we make sure nobody gets brutalized. If you're going to arrest them, then arrest them. And, we follow them to the jail. And if it's a BS charge, then we'll bail them out. Cool. All of that was fine until it wasn't. Until the very first time that they actually had to have a confrontation with the police on the street corner. There was a motorist who was being beat up pretty good by the police, and the Panthers just so happened to pull up right when it was getting going. And they jumped out of the car. It was like 12 of them in two different vehicles. It was like 12 of them. They jumped out, guns, shotguns. Even the sister had the big earrings on. She had a big 45 strapped to her side. She was the only woman in the party at the time. And unfortunately, due to shoddy record keeping. I don't know her name, and I'm kind of upset about that. But you know, that confrontation is probably the one you hear a lot about. You know, the cop's like, "Is your gun loaded?" And he was like, "If I know it's loaded, that's good enough." And you know, he's, you know, tell me what's up with that gun, boy. And he said, "You don't worry about what's up with my gun, pig."
Maddie, Trinity.
And that was the genesis of the relationship between the Panthers and the term pig. With the community was born right there. Throughout the existence of the party, the Black Panther Party newspaper perpetuated that. A lot of Emory Douglas's artwork was depicting pigs standing on two legs dressed like police officers. In 1968, when Huey went to jail and the Free Huey movement started, the Black Panther Party spread across the country like wildfire. They went from having the Oakland chapter, which maybe had 30 members at the time, to being nationwide, having 5,000 members in a matter of all happening while Huey was still in prison. So when Huey came out, he went from having 30 people that he was directing to having 5,000 people asking him, "What do we do now?" A lot of people believed that when Huey got out, the revolution was going to start the next day. Huey P. Newton was not Superman. He was a great revolutionary mind, an amazing leader, and pardon my French, but Huey didn't take this from nobody. But at the end of the day, the government has a plan for us. You know, the government has a plan for us. From the moment I put this logo on my chest, I already knew. Okay, I know what the plan is for me now. Like, I just got to stay alive long enough to avoid it. You know what I'm saying? So, with all that said, you spoke about being in Chicago. Fred Hampton was murdered in 1969, December 4th, 1969. And that was one of the first murders in what became a cycle of assassinations of Black Panther members, especially leadership. Black Panther Party offices across the country were raided by the police and by the FBI. If you've seen Judas and the Black Messiah, you know what some of the setup for that was. George Sanders was going from chapter to chapter, and everywhere he went, they had an excuse to go in, even though he worked for the FBI. Anyway, so Huey came out. Things were a little fractured because Eldridge Cleaver, who was the Minister of Information, was a very militant is not the word I want to use. I want to say stupid, but he was a really smart guy. But he did a lot of murder mouthing, and his idea was that we have the guns, we should use them. That was his idea. Huey was in jail saying, no, don't do that. What are you doing? We're not militarily trained to take on the police. Like, we got guns just in case. You know, and we practice just in case, but we're not ready for that. But they did it anyway. 4 days after Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, Eldridge Cleaver led a delegation of Panthers into the midst of the heart of Oakland. They were supposed to be going out to stop a riot from occurring, but instead got into a shootout with the police. And at that point, him and Bobby Hutton ran into a house. They ran into the basement of a house. The house was tear gassed. One of the tear gas canisters exploded and set the house on fire. At that point, they had no option but to come out. Eldridge Cleaver came out of the house completely naked. But he was like, "Yo, take all your clothes off." But Bobby Hutton, you got to think he's a 17-year-old kid. He's shy. He doesn't want to take his clothes off. Like, he's like, "I'll take my shirt off, you know, and I'll leave the gun right here." And he walks out, and that's the last time anybody saw Bobby Hutton alive. And with that said, after that cycle of assassinations that took us into the 70s, Huey brought everybody back to Oakland. Tried to centralize everything to take it back to where it started. They opened the school. They still had the newspaper. They still had the free breakfast program, free health clinics, ambulance service, which a lot of people don't know about. They had free ambulance service. They had free rides. To, I don't know which I know about the California penal system, but the prisons are hella far away from all the cities. You know what I'm saying? So they had free bus to take people to see their people in prison. Because I've been in prison and I can tell you that not having visitors messes with your head, like big time. Messes with your head big time. So they made sure people got out to see their folks. The kids in the Panther school were outperforming every student in California. And I'm talking from elementary school through college. They were outperforming everybody. The school won an award from the state for their performance. However, the day was somewhat tainted because Huey Newton showed up. Like the ladies, they've been running the school. Elaine Brown, Erica Huggins, Joan Bird, all of them, they've been running the school. Huey's name was on the paperwork just because he was Huey. You know what I'm saying? He shows up high out of his mind, and it's kind of a bad look. And after that happened, the feds decided to take a look at what the school was doing with their money. And Huey was misusing a lot of the money. I want to be clear though, Huey was misusing the money because while he was in prison, they fed him drugs. Huey was never a hard drug user before he got out of prison. And he tried to hide it when he first came home because he was ashamed that it was occurring. So with all of that going down, around 1982 is when the doors finally closed on the school. And essentially with the closing of the school was the closing of that part of the history of the Black Panther Party. Everybody kind of left and went on to do their own things. Huey, as we all know, was murdered in 1989 in Oakland by a drug dealer because he was trying to hustle him out of his drugs. There's actually a much deeper story to that. The gentleman who killed Huey was a member of the Black Guerrilla family, which was started by George Jackson in prison, who was also a Black Panther. He was a field marshal of the Black Panther Party. And they thought that the day that George Jackson decided to escape from prison, Panthers were supposed to be there to support, and Huey kept them from coming. Another part of that was when George Jackson's brother Jonathan was attempting to break the Soledad brothers out of the courthouse. Again, they said that the Panthers were supposed to support, and Huey kept them from coming. There's a whole lot more to both of those stories I can't get into right now. We can get into it later if y'all really want to know. But with that said, you know, the Panther Party kind of faded away at that juncture. Huey kind of passed the torch to Omali Yeshitela, who was the head of the African People's Socialist Party, who started the Uhuru movement, which was supposed to be a new era of Black Panther Party, just without the guns, which to me makes absolutely no sense. But you know, that was rolling for a while, and then somewhere along the line, they started the new Black Panther Party, and they're awful people. I don't like them. And if you look around, you will see many iterations of the Black Panther Party. Many. There's the Revolutionary Black Panther Party, the new African Black Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party, the I don't know, the skateboard and slip and slide Black Panther Party. I don't know, but it's a whole bunch of them. But when we started the Black Panther Party of Washington last October of 2020, our whole idea was to take the original concept of the Black Panther Party and put it back into effect. Take the 10-point platform, utilize that. Take their rules and regulations, utilize those. Because a lot of Panthers are still alive, and you don't want to be the person out in public wearing the logo and claiming to be something, and you're not doing it properly. So when the White Panther Party looks at Idaho and all of these great people, and I pray that when the Black Panther Party elders look at us, they see, hey, they're trying to do it right. Like, we have no reason to have a problem with what they're doing it right. So we have several programs that we run regularly. We have a winter clothing drive that's going through the end of the winter. We have Panther pickups that we do during the spring and summer at local parks and communities. We have a lot of dope stuff that's about to start. And this is the perfect time to do it. Cold, people don't want to be outside, they want to be inside. This is the perfect time to tell them, hey, well, come be warm in here and learn some shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what we own, man. Education is number one. It's not carrying a gun, it's not, you know, knowing all of these crazy revolutionary theories. At the end of the day, education is number one. Okay. Whether it be education about revolution, education about math, education about English, if you want to learn another language, whatever the case may be, education is number one. Self-defense is still very important. Very important, hence me decided on being a minister of defense, because that's very important to me. Yeah, that was longer than I wanted it to be, and that still was like nothing. Like I swear to you, it was nothing. Like, it's a good start. It's a good start. Yeah, it's like the Cliff Note of the Cliff Note version. Like, it's crazy. Very, 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 very flourished out history. But you got to remember too, as the party spread, you have a Chicago Black Panther history. You have an Oakland Black Panther history. You got the New York Black Panther history. You got the North Carolina, South Carolina, Philly Black Panther history. All of those branches operated under the same banner and under the same rules, but their execution of it was different. You know what I'm saying? So Just like us, we don't look like Oakland Panthers. Oakland Panthers wore powder blue button-up shirts and leather jackets. You won't catch me dead in that. Let me not say that. Because, you know, if we decided to pay homage, we would do it. But Chicago didn't do that. It's too cold in Chicago for all that shit. You know what I'm saying? New York didn't do that. New York was with the Panther tenants, but they were also more, what's the word I'm looking for? They were more in tune with the whole African aspect of the historical part of it. That's why you end up with names like Afeni Shakur and Zaid Shakur and Daruba bin Wahad. Those were the names those people were born with, you know what I'm saying? But those names represented what they felt showed their essence to the rest of the people. So at the end of the day, it's all about the people, man. It ain't even about us, so I'm shut up.
What was it? Didn't they come up with other names because they considered their original names slave names?
Mm-hmm.
It was their slave name, right? They didn't want to be called that.
Absolutely. And Huey was like, that's cute. I like that. But my name is Huey Newton. That's what my parents call me. That's who I am. So, you know, where's my coffee?
Did you never get your coffee?
Was it just a drip?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man.
What'd you get?
So one of the last things that Punchy said was they were about the people.
I got like a caramel blended
And
thing.
that's the main tenet that we follow today, is the people. Because the people are the ones suffering. The people are the ones that have always been suffering. The system was built so that the many could suffer, so that the few could get rich. That's what we're here to stop. So we can, you know, keep on our.
What I do?
You know, we can keep on, you know, preaching all day or some shit, but that's not what we're about. The reason that we asked you guys to be here today, and thank you guys for coming, we absolutely appreciate it. The reason that we have our comrade with us today is because in Western Washington, it's almost two different worlds. We know what the threats of Western Washington are right now. We are actively fighting those threats. Eastern Washington, obviously we know some, but we're not here yet. So my question to all present that happen to be in this area, what is it here that the people need that they're not currently getting from a broken system that's just here to get rich? If anybody has an idea about that, I would love to hear.
I think they need some black people out here. That's what I think.
That's a fair start.
Well,
I feel lonely.
I mean, right here between Pullman, WSU, and U of I, there's people from all over the world. There's folks from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Libya, every place. Of course, everything got really weird after 9/11.
Oh yeah.
And there are people here that don't appreciate the broad cultural diversity that we have because of the universities.
Of course.
And the universities are being attacked for trying to maintain diversity. The state legislature, which is pretty much a branch of Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
doesn't want anything. Of course, there's a whole issue of the mythology of critical race theory being taught in elementary schools. Well, that's a graduate level program. Everybody knows it. However, it becomes it's a dog whistle.
Yeah.
It's like you say this, and everybody gets scared. And they've all got guns. This is Idaho.
What's our education?
Absolutely.
Definitely,
Are there any schools or teachers even, like not college level, that are teaching history or going against the?
They
they showed us, do you know the story of us, you know, those documentaries are?
Actually, I forgot.
That's what we watched it.
Okay. Like the cartoon? Is that what you're talking about?
No. The story of us. It was, I think it was the History Channel, but it was.
Yeah, it's a documentary.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
it's
Story of things.
it's straight propaganda. It's you know like yeah, we boldly conquered the plains. You know,
Manifest destiny.
manifest destiny. You know,
Yeah, I
total
got it.
whitewashing.
I spent 2 months at Standing Rock and learned one hell of a lot from folks there. Dorothy Sunbear, who lives, she's like in her 60s, she lived at Wounded Knee, where the massacre occurred. She says, well, I've been living in a prisoner of war camp. And it was listed in the census as prisoner of war camp number 51. Or something.
The reservation?
Yeah.
That's what it was listed as?
Yes, because that's what they did. They basically imprisoned the Native Americans on the reservations, and if you left the reservation, then you were killed. And it's still going on. I have friends that are living in Rapid City, which they just named as the racist city, South Dakota.
Yeah.
It's really true.
See. Okay.
We've even got, I don't know much about this, but we've got the Klan up in Coeur d'Alene.
The Aryan Nations, all that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was saying, right, in the Moscow Pullman area, the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues we were having, like I was telling y'all right over, was the East Christ Church. They've been, it's a church group that's been, they're trying to push them to get people on in the city legislature and city council. They're buying up all the businesses they can, and they're ultra right wing, super racist. They're pro slavery. They're covering up all sorts of
Slavery.
pedophilia.
Gross.
Yeah.
Pro-slavery. Do they realize it's 2021?
Maybe they realize. I know they're also behind a lot of the anti-mask protests and stuff like that.
And they held, when the city council was considering extending the masking mandate, they gathered shoulder to shoulder with no masks outside City Hall, filled up the parking lots and the street, singing hymns. And when a couple of them got arrested for instigating this, then they put it out that we were arrested for singing hymns. And of course the orange dude caught on to that and trumpeted that up.
That's the only thing we were doing. Yeah.
See, it's funny that you brought that up though, because an anti-mask group, you're invading on my personal rights. But I'm pro-slavery.
Stealing other people's rights.
Well, they're not necessarily pro-slavery. They were claiming that the slaves didn't have it so bad. After
is
all,
that what you mean by
they had food and housing and health care. And I said, where did I sign up for this?
Yeah, that sounds better than what I got going on right now. The way they put it. But I mean, it's easy to be you're trampling on my rights and then be pro-slavery when you don't think that people who were enslaved were people. So it kind of changes the whole dynamic of the conversation. I would like to meet some of these Christ Church people.
I'd like to meet them.
I would really like to have a conversation
I'd
with
like
them.
to see that.
I would really like to have a conversation with them. But I'm bringing my shotgun though. Just so you know.
Absolutely.
Definitely is Sunday.
I'll bring my
Church should be getting out soon. No. Are you looking it up?
But the White Panther Party, we're starting to get our name out there. People are starting to realize who we are and what we're about. The question of white supremacy has started to fall by the wayside a little bit as far as our organization. Some people still haven't heard of us, so we hear it every now and then. The new question that has started to pop up is, what is this organization?
Here at 1 o'clock.
Oh, all right. We'll be done.
Okay.
Is it something you can reserve?
What is the purpose behind the party? Are we just out here to try and make the white community feel guilty? Are we out here to make them ashamed of being white? And that's absolutely not the case. It's not a matter of being ashamed of being white. It's a matter of being ashamed of being complacent in murder.
All the way level.
It's time for us to be as angry as our brothers are, and our sisters are, and our comrades are. When something happens and a kid gets shot in the street, people say that it's sad. But the thing about sadness is you cope with sadness in order to accept what has happened. But when something is unacceptable, you cannot cope to that. So you cannot be sad. Only through anger does change come. So we're not here to make anybody feel ashamed of who they are. We just want people to be angry about what's happening so that we can change it.
And to be dedicated enough to change it. Because this is not a sprint, this is a long-term thing. And there's a term in the chorus that as the group sings, certain people will take a breath, take a pause to take that next note, and the rest of the people carry it on. And that's the people we need, the people who will carry it on so we can keep pushing against these systematic issues.
Absolutely. I mean, you gotta ask yourself. Pretty sure everybody here watch cartoons, read comic books or something. The Incredible Hulk could change the entire dynamic of everything around him simply by getting angry. It doesn't matter if it's inside a building, outside in front of a big crowd of people. The dynamic of every single thing around him changes as soon as he gets angry, because he changes. The people like the Incredible Hulk, but until they get angry, the system got no reason to be afraid. They have no reason to redefine the way they deal with us, because they figure, oh, kid dies, they're gonna cry for a while, this group's gonna get mad, they're gonna march in the streets for a minute. Give it a month, it'll be over. Give it a month, it'll be over. I heard that when George Floyd got killed. Give it a month, it'll be over. I heard that when Manny Ellis got killed. Give it a month, it'll be over. Now, mind you, I've been a Black Panther for a year, and I'm lying. I've been a Black Panther my entire life. My entire life.
Nice acting.
Just keeping it 100. I've been a Black Panther my entire life. The reality is, anger in the midst of what we're doing is the most important emotion you can carry. Now, that doesn't mean you have to speak to people like you're angry. That doesn't mean you have to treat the community like you're angry. But what it does mean is that behind everything you give to people, that anger has to exist inside of it. When I say, hey, can I see those? Can I see those 2 clipboards right there? Oh, specifically that one right there. Yep. So when I walk up to people and I say, hey, Saeed Joaquin got killed by the Lakewood police by Mike Wiley. You know what I'm saying? And I go into the whole story. And I'm very calm when I talk to people about it, because I need them to understand the specifics of the case and understand why every week the Pierce County prosecutor is looking at her email like, fucking Punchy again? My God, I'm sick of him. But you're going to continue to be sick of me. You know why? Because I'm angry. But I can't come tell you that I'm angry to your face, because they'll lock me up for that immediately. But I can tell you in every email that I send you that we demand justice for Saeed Joaquin. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm demanding that you do it. Sometimes it's all about the words we use. I say, hey, how are you doing? Hi, what's going on? When I say that, it's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm doing good. If I woke up, what's up then? Whole different greeting. Whole different greeting. Now my energy on the inside might be, what's up then? All the time. But when I see Zilla, I say, hey, comrade, what's good? How you doing? You good? That's what's up. It's got a bubble on the inside of you. You know what I'm saying? What people see on the outside is going to be what they see. And that's their prerogative. Perspective is a very helpful and sometimes very dangerous thing. But the reality of the matter is, until we allow our anger to become a righteous anger, become the thing that pushes our movement, we're going to be stuck asking and begging for the simplest things. Manny Ellis was murdered by the Tacoma police without a question. There's no question. If you ever seen the footage, all you gotta do is look it up on YouTube, it's on there. Without a question, he was murdered by the Tacoma police. You understand what I'm saying? It wasn't a, oh, well, he reached for something. He didn't have anything to reach for. Try again. He was resisting arrest. He wasn't resisting arrest. You had no reason to arrest him. Try again. You see what I'm saying? But that's the way I feel about it all the time. But when I talk to them, when the news cameras come on, they be like, so Bunchy, what do you think about it? I be like, well, you know, I think that the reality is we have to understand that the police are not. You know why I have to do that? Because I have to find a way to express my anger without sounding angry, but to make sure that the anger is understood. Understanding the anger is where the change starts. You gotta make them just a little afraid. They gotta be afraid. If they're not afraid of us, we can't change anything. I make people very nervous when I walk in a room. All the time. Especially when I'm with him. These two big, oh my God. I got this on, he got that on. The automatic assumption of most people in the room is they're angry about something. We could have just got finished laughing and joking, walking in the door. But the assumption is because it says Panther that we're angry. So everything that we do as Panthers has to exude that anger in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And you're absolutely right. Nothing will be different until people get angry.
We're dealing with perpetual cover-up.
Absolutely.
It started really big when JFK got killed. And Jack Ruby became off the only guy that knew what he had done or hadn't done.
Exactly.
Total cover-up since then on all levels. Military, police, political.
Most people won't even tell you what the mob connection was to Kennedy's hit, but we'll talk about that another time.
And anybody that wants to think that those cover-ups are still happening today? Just yesterday, I read a news article about a 72-year-old black woman that was hung from a tree.
Jesus.
And they said that there was no evidence of foul play.
She just climbed, huh?
Cover-ups are happening every day. Saeed Joaquin knows that. So, thank you guys for coming out. We're going to get this gentleman in the room.
We can continue in Japanese.
And my students haven't arrived yet, so
What should we do on these?
Well, we do got a couple things that we can give to you guys just to give you a little bit more information.
That's right.
They're really angry. I don't know.
I got 3 songs that I wrote 50 years ago.
I love them.
One of them is about the series of political assassinations that started with JFK. Continued on through Malcolm X and King, and they even shot Larry Flint because he was offering $1 million reward for the killer of Kennedy.
Absolutely.
So they called him down to Georgia and shot him outside.
And they tried to say that guy that shot him, the guy that shot him was already doing some crazy stuff, but they knew, hey, we already know you're a little off kilter. Check this out. This is what we need you to do.